Okay, let's get this show on the road. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Another early morning for me. I'm in a better mood than yesterday. I'm your boss, Joe Boss. And we got some breaking news right off the bat to cover. Fed's favored inflation gauge posted muted advance in December. The core personal consumption expenditures price index, it rose 0.2%, which is inflationary. And it rose across all the metrics, not just the core. It rose on the month-over-month, year-over-year. So Fed is definitely going to stay on hold, at least. And this would be in line with keeping their expectations on hold for their rate policy, their cash rate. The Fed funds rate, that is. All right. So, yeah, we got this little bit of breaking news that came out, 30-ish minutes ago. And if we check the calendar, go to today. Yep, you can see here's all the stuff in TradingView. There's the PCE, employment costs, and then personal income. We're getting the Chicago PMI next. This is probably going to move stuff. I believe this is a services PMI, if I'm not mistaken. Business barometer, yeah. Manufacturing and non-manufacturing. Okay, so it's both. It's services and manufacturing. Okay, so we're getting a PMI out, and we'll see if it's improving. And if it is, that shows, hey, there's growth still going on in the US. It can be, PMIs are generally leading indicators of that kind of stuff. And then we have Sunday, Saturday. I know it says Saturday there's no scheduled reports, but this is when the tariffs between the United States and Mexico and Canada are getting put on between each other. There'll probably be some retaliatory tariffs that get put on that make the whole situation a whole boondoggle. Let's see here. So we got two stories here after this breaking news story from Bloomberg. We have two more here. German inflation stays unhinged, backing ECB rate caution. There was a rise in their inflation. Not good. Softer French inflation. So, yeah, that line going up right there, that tiny little bump to the upside there, that ain't good. They don't want to see that if they want to be dovish. So it's putting them, it's probably going to decrease the odds of rate cuts a bit when we review that later today in the trading group. Fed Bowman wants more inflation progress before cutting rates. A lot of people are probably in agreement with her. I'd like to see progress in lowering inflation resume before we make further adjustments to the target range. So, yeah, that makes sense for the FOMC. Now, I do have this. This is the week ahead note that I generally use and keep for myself. Oh, also, I should probably say, for everyone who was in the trading group yesterday, they were probably very happy to at least get a ping. When everyone was in the Discord yesterday, I went ahead and I pinged everybody. I'm just closing some stuff up here so I can drag and drop this Discord window. Yep. Within a minute or two of Trump, when he was signing executive orders, confirm himself that 25% tariffs were getting put on Canada and Mexico. February 1st, this Saturday, we had a really huge ass spike. And I'm going way back here, way back. This is a 30-second chart. The entirety of this move, look how fast this thing went. 168 pips in the span of 3 minutes. I was between 1 and 2 minutes, so I saw this thing starting to move by around here. And I was like, okay, what's going on? What's moving this? And I sent out a ping, the notification saying, hey, everybody hop into the group chat. Right? Hey, DXY, voice chat now. What's going on? And yeah, it was an eventful day yesterday. Just know, if something like this is going on, getting pinged is in a timely fashion is extremely, extremely important. I mean, again, this thing only lasted 3 minutes. So that means someone has to be watching this, send out a ping, you get the notification and check it. And 3 minutes is generally enough to have all that happen. But a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just check my notification later. And then by the end, this whole move is down 100 pips. Yeah. And then we had a dip kind of over here, right? We had this fall off right here around midnight, my time. I wonder, let's go ahead and check out the economic calendar and see if there's anything going on at that time. Oh, ECB survey of professional forecasters. Let's see if we can pull that up. ECB professional forecasters. Let's go ahead and check out the summary for the full report here. And also, just for making sure, I'm going to go into the research section, copy that link, and we're going to share it in the central banks channel, because this is an ECB forecast. So, central bank related stuff. All right, cool. Oh, that's right. I forgot to put the music back on. My bad. That's what I get for operating on a bit of a more tired schedule the last couple of days. But you know what? It'll probably be a slower week next week. I'll be able to get all my sleep. But guess what? Work is work. Things need to be getting done. So, kinda doesn't matter. Kinda doesn't matter if it's like, oh, you didn't get that one little extra hour. I'm like, I'm more motivated to get up and do this in the morning at like 80% effort immediately and just start getting the work done then. I am like, okay, let me just get that extra hour and then another 30 minutes getting ready. It's like, nope, it's go time. And it doesn't take me that much longer to, start waking up. What matters is you have eyes on what's going on. Nose is a little stuffy. Yeah, so far, you know, this is supposed to be a week ahead review. We're just reviewing things that have gone on so far in the day. We're approaching the 20-minute mark, and I'll go ahead and say, yeah, let's go ahead and start focusing on next week. And let's put this to a more reasonable time frame. Yeah, it's just, I mean, if you wanted to get long USD CAD and you didn't over here, this would have definitely have been the time. You have maybe 30-ish minutes to get here. That's actually a better opportunity than just being long here and then seeing the jump up. That's a really, I'm surprised this even occurred, that dip. Because now look at that. And I'm due to PPI, right, coming out in the last hour. If we set this to like the last 5 minutes, yeah, you can see. Let's go to today. Personal spending. Yeah, personal spending month over month came in a bit higher, and everything else came in at forecast above the prior numbers. And PCE, yeah. The big one, I think, is that Canadian GDP came in a bit worse, it seems. There's this preliminary number that came in better than the prior, but then there's this month-over-month GDP that came in worse than expected. And that could definitely be moving this up. So, let's keep it going and start reviewing some of this stuff over here. So, next week, and by the way, this isn't everything that's happening next week, but for example, on Monday, I know there is something going on in France election-wise. They're having a vote on the budget in their lower house, the National Assembly. That's not in here yet, but I just needed to do a little bit of research on like, okay, if that thing is bullish, then I should expect this thing to be bearish, and if we get this policy, it should impact that asset. So these notes are getting a little bit more information rich on like, hey, we have this OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting on Monday. Here's a blurb about what's going on, what the basic expectations are. Ministers will likely make no change at the meeting. And this is my commentary here. Any surprise change in policy would move oil. So oil is expected to pretty much do nothing and to stay in line with current expectations, current forecasts, and current trends. Any change would either accelerate, reverse that, if it's a actual significant change to the, you know, surprise. And a lot of people don't know about this. It's really on no calendars. Starmer is attending an EU retreat next Monday, and he's going there to meet with all the leaders of the European Council, at every person who runs the European Union, to discuss European military security. If tariffs are discussed there, it depends on what's discussed specifically. If they're just discussing, hey, how are we going to respond to Trump's tariffs, and there's a talk about retaliatory tariffs, then maybe there's some pound in the euro in weird ways. We'll see, because if they start talking about retaliatory tariffs before Trump has even spoken about putting tariffs on the UK or the euro, it's more likely those discussions will start up after April 1st, when Trump gets a report on April 1st That's a review of the spending that's happening in the US between its trade partners. If there's any talk about extending the Ukraine war, it would probably put weakness on both the currencies and vice versa. If they talk about ending the war earlier, it'll probably relieve the currencies. Because, however, given that this is supposed to be a talk about defense and military security, I would assume it's probably going to end up making the currencies weaker because they're probably talking about spending more money for the war in Ukraine. Needless to say, if the war in Ukraine were to end tomorrow or have a proper ceasefire signed, that would be a huge boon for the euro, because then they would not have all these, they wouldn't have to send as much money to support Ukraine's war effort. We got some quiet trading days here. Tuesday and Wednesday next week, US JOLTS, New Zealand unemployment. New Zealand unemployment will be important for, well, the New Zealand dollar. This might be enough information to, like, kick off a proper trend in the New Zealand dollar to the short side. But I'm not terribly certain. What we really need is this New Zealand unemployment rate to come in worse, which would make the RBNZ want to cut more. Yeah, you can see it's holding up all right. It's a bit all right. It's had a bit of a bad week here. It's down 76 pips against the dollar. But it's by far not the biggest loser out there. Let's see. Canadian balance of trade, Australian balance of trade. I would be surprised if, Trump made absolutely no comments about the Canadian tariffs after saying the Canadian balance of trade numbers. All right. Thursday is the big day. Actually, I already have a stream set up for next week on Bank of England. And then Friday, we have NFP. And a ton of unemployment numbers. So most of the business for next week is going to be done on Thursday and Friday. So it's a tail end heavy week. So if we get any kind of reversals, if we get any kind of trend continuation, that will likely happen on these days, Thursday and Friday. There is this thing that's not on the calendar too. ECB neutral rate estimate. They're coming out with a quote-unquote new estimate of their neutral rate. It's currently 2%. If it comes in lower than 2%, we should be expecting 4 25 basis point rate cuts. If they keep it at 2%, the market's current net average current expectations is for 3 25 basis point rate cuts for the year. So if they come out and say, hey, our neutral rate expectation is 2, we could see the odds for 3 25 basis point rate cuts solidify. Otherwise, if they say it's below 1%, they're R-star, then yeah, where the expectations for rate cuts are going to update into expecting 4 25 basis point rate cuts as the consensus. And yeah. And then, of course, we have all the footnotes here linking to all these things. I'll be adding a couple more things to this over the weekend. But net, this is a pretty good overview of what's going down next week. Everyone in the trading group is going to be getting a copy of this. I'm just going to add the thing about France and make sure I do my research to make sure there's nothing missing on these days. I'm going to be checking the other, like at least one other economic calendar to double check. You always got to, I've learned now, it's like, hey, you have to look at least 2 economic calendars. You have like your main one, and then you have to look at the backup one just to make sure that your main one isn't leaving anything out. Because that'll happen from time to time. And it's incredibly annoying that happens. So let's see here. Euro dollar seems to be holding up, at least relatively. It's down 120 pips since Tuesday. So, you know, don't get me wrong, people who've been shorted this week are pretty happy. But, yeah, that's just how it goes. The dollar seems to be having a really good time, especially after those comments yesterday when Trump was signing executive orders on the Canada tariffs and Mexico tariffs. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not too sure about what's going on with the pound at the moment. It's really going to depend on a couple of things. How well is their economy going to be responding to the new taxes? I mean, the business confidence in the UK is just in the toilet right now because of those taxes. Apparently, some of those taxes are going to get back, maybe not. I need to get better sources for UK politics. I'm just getting my arms around translating and getting really fast at receiving news from France and Germany, because there's a handful of places I can go to get news on the UK. Also, apparently the Reform Party is topping the polls. Yeah, if I go to our research thread, and we have 2 new research threads, the immigration policy in the US Panama Canal retake. Here's the local elections for the UK. These are the political hot topic at the moment. Let's see here. May 1st is when they're going to be held. And then we have the general elections. Yeah, check this out. Reform UK. If a general election was called tomorrow, how would you vote? 27% vote for Reform UK, 23% for Labour, 21% for Conservatives. Wow. This was a poll of about 2,500 people, so pretty decent size. And it wasn't that long ago, literally like a day or 2 ago, there was another poll showing, hey, Labor's at 25, Reform's at 24, Conservatives at 20. So now the polls in the UK are getting very, very interesting for Reform. So start making sure that you have a decent understanding of what the Reform Party stands for, because if they actually obtain a significant amount more power in this next election, you want to know what they stand for. You want to know what their fiscal policy changes are going to be. You want to know what their policy is in regards to how they're going to be treating other countries. You know, if you can spend a day or two reviewing that, that'd be great. I'll see if I can find any competent summaries or review articles on that topic specifically myself and post them in those research threads. Again, if you want, make sure you are following these threads if you want notifications on these things. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say for today. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a pretty chill day today. So I'm going to go ahead and call it and work on that week ahead. Nope. And hopefully get to doing quite a bit of programming. So I will see you guys in a bit.